Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, where wealth strategies and investment wisdom collide, featuring your distinguished host and certified financial planner, Bart Zandbergen.
Welcome to the Zandbergen Report, a showcase for wealth strategies and investment wisdom that's essential for our evolving world. I am your host, Bart Zandbergen. And Paul, are we not lucky today?
We are so, we've had so much fun talking beforehand, but I can't tell you any of the stuff we talked about here today. But we're very lucky to have this show on here and the guests we have with us, because I'm going to learn a lot today.
We are going to learn a lot. Not only do we have two beautiful women, but there is actually a lot of brains behind the beauty as well. So this is going to be a lot of fun. So our special guest today is Shelley Geiler, who has an amazing background. So Shelley, just to do you the credit you deserve, I'm just going to read this couple of sentences just to make sure I don't miss a thing. So you're a successful entrepreneur, attorney, philanthropist, and you're known for thriving in multifaceted leadership roles. You are a partner in POLO Properties, LLC, which we're going to be speaking a lot about today, a real estate development firm, owner of multiple Southern California self-storage amenities, and developer, co-owner of the brand new home of the Orange County Polo Club in Silverado Canyon. Can't wait to learn more about that. And you oversee business operations, project design, financing, marketing, and brand development on all organizations. How do you do it all?
Well, Bart, thank you for having me today.
Sure. Welcome to the show.
I'm not really sure. I just keep going and going and going until I drop, but it's all so much fun that it doesn't really feel like work. So I think that's why I never say no.
Yeah. Okay. That's actually the key to success, I think, is doing what you love to do and it doesn't feel like a job.
Yeah.
Let's start with something that's maybe the more obvious is how does one come from training to be an attorney and then owning businesses and then developing a polo club? So tell us about that.
Well, I have always jumped from sort of one thing to another, and I think this is my fifth or sixth career. So my father was an attorney and was always doing real estate investments on the side and always looking for other ways to find income and sort of had an entrepreneurial spirit, but used the law firm to really pay the bills. And along the way, I think I was in high school when he had purchased a self-storage property, and my mom was looking for something to do, and she said, well, I'll be the property manager. And so she jumped in and learned the self-storage business and eventually became the queen of self-storage, and we kind of went on to sort of build a little mini empire here in Southern California of self-storage properties. And in the meantime, I went off to college and I went to film school and really loved kind of that world and got to do some fun things in film. But all along I realized, what a legal education could do for me. And I think I felt like I deserved to be at the table having the conversation, but I didn't really have the education yet to do it. So I went to law school, and in the process, really learned to kind of get excited about the law. So after law school, I worked at a law firm for a couple of years, but I also knew that there was a family business at home sort of calling my name. And I started looking at some other entrepreneurial businesses that might be kind of fun, and I would bring the spreadsheets home to my dad and show it to him, and he'd compare it to the self-storage business, and he'd point to the column with the ROI, and it didn't take me that long to figure out that maybe I should jump into the self-storage business. And they had already really put the foundation in place and had built this incredible business, but it was before branding was even really a concept. So for me, it was really easy to come from New York City, where I saw sort of things happening at a faster pace and maybe a little further ahead of what one might consider the self-storage industry, and apply those things to our business. And so it was just fun because it was right, at that time we were still using Yellow Pages. So I got to really help bring our business to the to the 21st century. And along the way, I got back to playing polo, which I had done growing up, and we had always been sort of the supporters of the OC Polo Club, and we'd moved a few times because there's always a new development kind of ready to take over where their stables were. And when that happened at our last place, my dad and I looked at each other and said, I think it might be time to find a permanent home. So that's where we are now.
Okay. All right. So you're still active with the self-storage?
Yes.
Okay. And those are across the country or just
No,
here?
we're just in Southern California.
Okay.
Our I think game plan was to be able to drive to any location on any given moment to check on business.
Okay.
So we were lucky to kind of get into some very key locations early on and have just focused on managing them as well as we can and providing a really high level of service.
Yeah. Since this is a business show, I will tell you that in our asset allocations, in the real estate world, we love self-storage as a portion. So,
yes, it may not be sexy, but it is.
Hey, if it makes money, it's sexy.
It's a great business.
Yeah.
We love it.
Okay. So let's talk about polo. You grew up playing polo in New York?
No, in Newport Beach. I'm actually from Newport Beach,
Okay.
fourth generation Californian.
Okay.
So I grew up doing hunter jumpers, which is an English equitation kind of riding. And my dad would he loved horses as well. So he would come with me and he would start riding my show jumper, and he put on the breeches and velvet hat and would go to horse shows with me. And my mom found a sign for polo lessons in a tack shop. And she thought, well, that would be a really fun thing to give Denny for his birthday. Yeah. So she got him a polo lesson.
Where was that? Here
that was
County?
in Anaheim.
Okay.
Yes, at the first club that eventually became the Orange County Polo Club. It was called the Winston Polo Club. It was right by Angel Stadium.
Okay.
And it was just a little rundown stables that happened to have an arena where they played polo.
Yeah.
And he came home and said, that's the most fun I've ever had. He sold his Porsche. And
that's a big move.
Yeah, which he'd always had. He was a passionate Porsche owner, and bought 2 polo ponies, and that was it for him. He never looked back. I kept doing hunter jumpers for a while, but I would always go to the barn with him, and just the sheer thrill of being able to ride, at a fast pace on a team with my dad, was so much fun that I quickly switched over from hunter jumpers to polo, and we've never looked back.
Wow. So we were talking earlier, and until I've met you, I've only met one other person that plays polo, and that's our mutual friend Shane Baum, who's been on the show. So we learned a bit about polo then, but not enough. So let's talk a little bit more about that. Paul and I were joking earlier to say that, well, we thought it was just for like the rich and famous, and we know it's being referenced in that very addictive show called The Crown. So what is happening with polo as a sport or as or an industry maybe? Right.
Well, I think that it's obviously, we all picture the big grass field and the beautiful hats and dresses and royalty playing, and there absolutely is that history. But the history also goes back to the Mongols, and polo is one of the oldest sports in our history, and it has been played by the military in order to keep the officers and their horses in shape, and it has always been played. It's played on the grass, but we also have a game called arena polo, and that is played in a much smaller field with 3 players instead of 4, and it doesn't require as many horses, it doesn't require as much money, and it doesn't require as much land, and therefore we're able to sort of bring polo to people who wouldn't necessarily be able to play, who can't afford to kind of fly off to Florida for 4 months with their string of ponies and a couple of Argentine pros. As much as we'd all love to do that, some of us have to go to work every day, and to be able to drive 20 minutes from the beach to Silverado Canyon just up Jamboree and play polo, with your friends and your family. It is for everybody.
Are there other what do we call them? Courses, arenas? What do you call them?
Well, arena, polo clubs.
Clubs. Are there
Yeah.
other clubs here in Southern California?
Yes. So there's no other. So there's a couple of grass polo clubs out in the desert in Santa Barbara, which everybody's seen,
Oh, Santa
in
Barbara, yeah.
pictures. Yeah. And there are a couple of arena clubs in Los Angeles, and we've always been the only arena club in Orange County. It's hard, as you know, in
Yeah.
Orange County to have any kind of open land that doesn't get developed.
Yeah.
So, and horses in general, it's difficult to
Yeah.
find a place that's big enough to have an operation. It's certainly not a money-making concept. So, what we've done is really try and figure out a way to be a turnkey solution for people so
Yeah.
that they can live, here with their families, go to work every day, and come out, after work and play polo. And their horse is ready, it's tacked up, it's been groomed, it's well taken care of, and they can just go out and have fun. And on the weekends, they can bring their family. We have lots of multi-generational families playing.
Yeah.
And so it really, people will go from having never ridden a horse before
Yeah.
to playing, in club chuckers in a year.
Okay, we kind of talked about that earlier. So when we were talking about, hey, Barry, you should come play, like, well, I don't even know how to ride a horse. So are you?
We
what-
love people who've never ridden a horse before, because we can teach you how to ride while also learning how to play polo. And when you're focusing on hitting a ball, you're a little less worried about whether you're doing things perfect on the horse,
yeah.
which allows you to progress a little more quickly.
Yeah.
And because you're constantly turning to chase the ball, you get a seat, what we call a
Yeah.
seat, very quickly.
Okay.
And it's just a lot more fun
Yeah.
than riding around in a circle, hoping to get your post just right.
Yeah. What are the saddles considered a Western saddle, an English? Or
It's an
something
English.
between?
It's like an English saddle. It's just a little bit larger than
Yeah.
an English saddle.
Okay.
So it really looks like English riding, but just sort of a sporty version
Yeah.
because we're a little looser in the saddle, trying to reach that ball or
Okay.
ride off an opponent.
Yeah. So you've said multi-generational. You said you played with your dad and you started as a child. What are the age range of players?
Well, my daughter is 8 years old, and she's starting to swing the mallet, and
Yeah.
will probably be playing in chuckers. As soon as she possibly can. She's chomping at the bit.
Yeah.
My father is 77 years old, and he does not show any signs of hanging up the mallet. So it really is something that you can play
Wow.
your whole life,
Yeah.
which is so much fun because what
Yeah.
else can you do, with men and women, kids and adults,
Yeah.
horses, and a team.
Right. Right.
And so it's, maybe sailing is the closest equivalent to it.
right.
Right.
Maybe golf.
Maybe golf,
Yeah, but it's
but it's
so
a lot
different.
Yes.
So different.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really cool.
Somebody tweeted in, how's the game played, real quickly? What?
Yeah, I was going to ask you that.
How is
So,
the
yeah,
game
what's-
played?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, with the ball.
How big?
Yeah. So
Softball?
the arena ball is like a mini soccer ball. So it's like a leather ball that's about the size of a grapefruit.
Okay.
And that's so that it can bounce on the dirt arena. And then the difference between grass polo and arena polo is a lot like indoor soccer versus outdoor soccer. Arena polo looks a little bit like hockey. The ball never goes out of bounds unless you hit it out of bounds, and then you got to throw it back in. So we play 3-on-3. So you have 3 players on each team and 2 umpires, and the ball is bowled in, and then you are trying to score a goal on either side of the field.
Yeah.
And in the process, you try and ride off your opponent, or you might hook them to stop them from hitting the ball. It's also played right-handed. So I'm left-handed, but I had to learn how to play right-handed because that way we avoid, as much as possible, people colliding head-on.
Oh, I see. I see.
Because there's a right-of-way of the ball. So
Yeah.
as soon as the ball is hit, it creates this imaginary line.
Yeah.
And you want to follow that line in order to not foul your opponent. And it
Okay.
keeps the play moving in the right direction.
Is there goal posts?
There's goals on either side. On the grass, there's 2 posts, and in the arena, the goals are built into the arena.
Okay.
And
There's not a goalie per se,
no,
right?
no, there's you cannot goaltend in polo.
Okay.
But you do have offensive and defensive positions,
Yeah.
and you can get very strategic, in terms of positioning on the field and get as complicated as you want with
And is
strategy.
it dangerous? I see people falling or getting hit. It seems like a very
We
dangerous.
don't like to talk about that.
Yeah.
but
Wow.
So I was going to ask, because this kind of parlays, is it,
Yeah.
this is my attempt at being humorous, is it anything like hockey where they can take and just start like beating on each other?
Right. Well, no, but so all of the rules are intended to keep the horses safe and the
Right.
players safe. We don't want to see anybody getting hurt.
Yeah.
And one of the great things about arena polo is that it is played. It's softer. It's played at a slower pace. It is a much safer endeavor than the grass polo can be. Horses in general are always, you have to be aware at all times what you're doing and never take it for granted that they're going to just stand there just because they were standing there for an hour before. If something spooks them, they're going to move. But our whole job and our goal at OC Polo is to keep people safe. We do everything we can to keep the horses in good shape. We, keep the equipment in good shape. The arenas, everything we do is because we don't want to get hurt.
Right.
And we don't want our horses to get hurt.
Right.
So, yes, any horse activity is definitely a little bit more on the risky side than walking to school, but
Are you provide the horses for players at your
we
arena?
provide the horses for lessons, and then as you progress into club chuckers, you need to buy your own horse, and then we provide all the care for the horse.
Oh, okay.
So we do everything from make sure it's fed to the vet to everything that needs to be done. But it really changes the club, the way people play when they own their own horse. If you don't own your own horse and you come from, sort of a motorcycle background and you think, I'm just going to get on and ride it like a motorcycle. Well, I don't want you doing that to my horse. So when you own your own horse, you start to understand the importance of maybe you don't swing, at a particular play, because if you do hurt your horse, then you don't have a horse to play for the next 6 months. So it really creates an investment in your sport, and you improve a lot faster.
And
if you're riding
are there
your own
like
horse.
teams? Is there a final cup? Is there a what happens?
Yeah. So
can we just
have,
root for teams? Do I have to play? Can I just come and watch?
You can. So not only so from an arena polo, we have an arena league that we play with clubs up and down Southern California. That's really fun to get to play against other clubs. We'll make up teams. Usually you make up a team for a particular tournament, and we do have events that are open to the public. And the other thing that we do that's really a fun thing is that we put on private events. So we're sort of providing unique polo experiences for people to, whether they want to come and have, a team building event and bring all of their customers or their, high earning employees, and we'll get them all on a horse. We'll walk them through all the steps. We'll teach them about how to swing a mallet, horse care, and then they can come and have, lunch and watch a polo match. Or we can put on, a fancy dinner party and an exhibition match so that your guests, can see polo up close, and we can make the teams so that, they're branded and everybody's rooting for one team or the other, or we donate, raise some money and donate it to a charity. So there's a lot of different things we can do, because we can put on polo at any time, and we can cater it to what people are looking for.
That's super creative. So let's say our friend Paul here decides, hey, I wanna start playing polo.
I want to start playing polo.
So
Well, he's got the hat already.
I got the hat.
so-
I've got the hat.
I think he took is that mine, Paul?
I don't know. I got the brown one.
So what do you do with Paul?
So Paul calls Heather,
Okay.
who runs our polo club, and she is a USPA certified instructor. So she's been teaching people for 20 plus years how to play polo. you set up a polo lesson, and she'll, first time it'll be one-on-one, and she'll assess where you're at. And
But first, I got to ride a horse because I don't think I've ever been on a horse
well,
two times in my life. Yeah.
She's going to put you on a horse.
Wow.
And we'll get you, all you need is a pair of jeans and preferably a pair of boots. But if you don't have boots, just any closed-toed shoes will do. We've got the helmet.
Okay.
And she will walk you through the basic steps so that you can get on a horse and start swinging a mallet, and but in an hour. And then from there you can kind of assess. So for some people, they say, oh well, that was great, thanks. And other people, most of them, say that was
I'm hooked.
yeah, I'm hooked. Where do I sign up?
Yeah.
When can I come back?
Really?
And they come back, and eventually become polo club members.
Yeah.
But we can. It just depends on how, obviously, the more athletic you are, the easier it is to pick it up. But
And if I just wanted to watch, are there events I could just come out and watch, bring my grandson and just watch him?
yeah, we're not open to the public on a daily basis. But what we do is just you contact Heather or text us on the social media channels, and we'll let you know when we do have an event going that's open to the public. We do put on a lot of different things. It's just with weather and all of the things that can come up and change the time. We don't want to post something ahead of time.
Yeah.
And have
But the
everybody
public
show up.
could come out and just
Yes.
watch it.
Yeah.
And is there a fee to come out? Ticket price?
It just depends on the event and which particular occasion is.
So I'm going to give you a little interesting anecdote. They always say in the show, I know a little bit about everything here. I live in Ladera, and at the corner of Ortega Highway and Antonio there's like a riding area there. I think I'm told it's owned by Joan Irvine Smith, and
Yes.
she
Yeah.
fights to keep that open because every other corner's been developed, and she somehow keeps that. I know it's not polo. What do they do there? That's the jump. It seems like horse jumping.
Well, but
'Cause we've got it on
good
watch
eye,
it.
because
Yeah.
that was originally a polo field. I don't believe that they've ever consistently played polo there, but we have put on polo exhibitions there. Now it is used for Grand Prix show jumping.
Right.
So that's what you'll see there. But
And I've taken
it
my
was
grandson.
originally
I know
polo field.
nothing about horses, and we've just gone down, and
Yeah.
you can just sit and watch, and it's amazing what
It
to do.
is
You can go up and-
watching horse and rider. There's nothing like it. It's just majestic. And one of the fun things we do, kind of at halftime, is we'll bring the horses up to the crowd and let people pet them and talk to them and
Oh, nice.
try and explain whatever we can.
Yeah.
And introduce the kids to the horses. It's really fun.
We talked about training the people, training the Pauls, but are the horses trained for polo, or is it kind of a natural thing?
Absolutely.
They are?
Yes. They are. Some of them come by it naturally and are naturally better polo horses, but it really just, it's an athleticism, it's a mindset, and a good polo pony will turn to the ball before you do. And we used to have one polo pony who taught, I don't know, probably 300 people how to play polo, and he would kick the ball into the goal for them. So that's the
my
best
pony.
kind of
That's my
pony.
pony.
That's my
Yeah.
pony.
Now,
We've got-
you keep calling him pony, so I'm assuming that I actually know that the Mongols, when they rode a horde across Asia, rode smaller ponies. They were
Yes.
faster and they would run longer.
Yes.
And so ponies have a connotation of being a smaller horse as opposed to a racing horse or a.
Yeah, so we call them ponies, and but they're horses. And ponies, really, it refers to the height. So from a certain height, it's a miniature horse, and then the next level is a pony, and then the next level is a horse. I don't know why it's always been called polo ponies. I should look that up. But some of our horses are small and close to pony size, and others are giant thoroughbreds off the racetrack. So some of the best polo ponies come from Argentina, and they're called an Argentine thoroughbred, but they're really a mixture of the local Criollo horse and a thoroughbred. They can stop and turn very quickly, and they can run fast. We use a lot of thoroughbreds off the racetrack. They are fast, and they can run for a long time, but they tend to be a little bit more high strung. Sometimes we find great quarter horses who have really good minds and are a lot more quiet, and they are perfectly suited for playing polo in the arena. Most of the horses that we have they start, that's their first sport, but we have converted a lot of horses over the years from other sports to polo ponies.
So what's your expectations or your goals for the future of the Polo Club?
Well, I think that we've spent the last year just trying to get a handle on operating something like this. It's very complicated to have to own the stables and the grounds, and then to have the polo club, and then really have sort of started this event business on top of it. So my goal is really to, now that we're getting a handle on all of that, is to be able to enjoy it and to build the club membership so that we, the more people we can bring in to enjoy it, the more fun it is for the rest of us. And then I think it's, with the events, it's really fun because you can introduce, 100 people at once to something they've never seen it before.
Yeah.
Everybody's heard of it, but most people have never seen it. So that's really, we've been in Orange County for 30 years, and I don't know how many people know that there's been a polo club around and that it's just in their backyard.
Yeah.
I'm
going to say not many.
Yeah, not many. So I think now's the time for them to learn that. It's in a beautiful location. You feel like you're right,
Yeah, tell us about that. What is it? What would it even look like when we walk?
Yeah,
What's the
so
design?
it's, well, it's just straight up Silverado Canyon, which is at the end of Jamboree, and you get off the road, and all of a sudden you're on this windy country road. You feel like you're out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. There's a winery out there, right?
There is a winery out there. There's a lot of other some other equestrian properties there. You just take a deep breath, and you can smell the oak trees, and it's you can't believe that you just got off the 261, and so you kind of wind your way up the canyon a little bit and pull off the road, and there's the Polo Club, and it's 4 acres. We're right on a creek, and we're right next to Black Star Canyon, so it's completely open area next to us. And we're able to trail ride from our property out onto Black Star Canyon on trail rides with Irvine Park, OC Parks. And then the property itself is brand new, but it looks like something out of 1930s California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's just
by design. You designed
by
it that
design.
way.
Yes, yeah. It's very unique. It's very modern in feel, in that it's that classic, clean line. It's the barns are all old wood, and then the buildings are white stucco with beams, exposed beams on the
really
inside,
nice.
and we've spent a lot of time really focusing on every detail, because how often do you get to build a polo club with all
everything you want.
Everything you want.
Yeah.
We've got horseshoes embedded in concrete. We've
cool.
got brass inlay sign with the logo and a bar. That's the best part.
Bar's good.
We got our own bar.
Did she say bar?
Yes.
Paul got lit up there.
Okay, said bar there.
We've got our own bar.
So how often is it open? Give us the address and website and all that stuff.
Yeah. So OrangeCountyPoloClub.com or OCPolo.com. And the best way to contact us for ours is really to contact Heather via the website, or
You can give her a number if you have it.
yeah.
Do we have it?
Do we have the number?
Yeah.
The publicist here doesn't have the number.
Okay, we'll get it.
All right,
We'll get
So
it.
we're gonna
Yeah.
we're gonna
Yeah,
circle
we're-
back for the number
we're-
because we're running out of time. But I really want to thank you for being on the show. This was so interesting, so different than what we would normally do. But I think the concept was cool, and people should know more about this. But I do have the honor of asking my ultimate question, which is, what is your ultimate lesson learned in your career? I'm going to say in your career. You have such a multifaceted career.
I guess my ultimate lesson is that it's never over. Just keep going. It's there's always something you can do better, something you can perfect and evolve, and there's always a new opportunity.
Yeah.
And I think being able to jump on that opportunity and just go for it is really something I've learned over the years. I never thought I would have done all the things I did. I never set out to do them, but I never said no. And I think that and my folks are the same way. You know.
So could we summarize it by saying keep writing?
Yes, keep writing.
Keep writing.
All right. Do we have a number, Aaron?
Right there. Here's the number.
All right,
Hot
so
off
the number
the publicist's press here.
714-791-8369. So if anyone has questions or wants to reserve a time,
That number, once again, is
714-791-8369.
and it's OC Polo or OC Polo Club? OCPoloClub.com. Right here in Orange County, there's a polo club. Who knew it?
Shelley, thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me. This
Of
was really
course.
fun.
My pleasure. And to all in the audience, we look forward to being back in studio next week. Cheers.
Tune in next week for the latest edition of the Zandbergen Report, Tuesdays at 2 p.m. Catch up on our recent shows by visiting bartzandbergen.podbean.com. The Zandbergen Report is also available on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and Spotify. Interested in being a featured guest on our show or have a question you'd like to hear us answer? Email podcast@bartzandbergen.com. Bart A. Zandbergen, CFP, and Letitia Burbaum, AIF, are registered investment advisors with Optivest Inc. and registered representatives with Gramercy Securities Inc., member FINRA and SIPC. Investment advisory services are offered by Optivest Inc. under SEC registration.